Hi everyone. I'm so excited for today's coffee and conversation. I will wait a couple minutes to let our guest get here before I introduce her. But today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite activities, which is actually like design challenges and hackathons. So, sorry, I'm a little thirsty. Got my coffee in advance. Oh, wonderful. There she is. Okay. So once we get her plugged in to the... Oh, I pressed a button that wasn't supposed to be pressed. Okay, I think I figured it out. Christy, do you want to just go ahead and click the join or request to join button? We'll get you pulled up in here. As I mentioned, we are doing a conversation about an event that's happening, one that I really enjoy taking part in these kinds of activities. They're called hackathons or design challenges or design sprints. They have lots of different names. And for me, as an engineer, as an engineering student specifically, it was a really great way for me to get kind of hands-on experience of what does an engineer do every day? And while hackathons and design sprints sometimes are a little more extreme than what an engineer might do on a daily basis, it does give a good example of here's a real world problem, or here's a problem that you can solve. Work with your team. Most of the time it's an interdisciplinary team. Work with them, get to know them if they're strangers, and get working on this project. There's lots of opportunities to prototype and design and ideate, and that's kind of the whole point of design sprints or hackathons. So today's guest, who I'm pulling up right now, hopefully will be joining us in the next second or two. And we'll be talking about an event that she is organizing, which is going to be really exciting. And there you are. Hello, Chrissy. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's very nice to meet you.
Yes, I'm really excited. I kind of gave an overview about what kind of hackathons were, but I really am excited for everyone to learn about you, learn about the event that you're organizing, and kind of let's just jump into it. So can you give us a brief bio? Who are you?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Christie and I'm currently a sophomore in high school in the school from Georgia. I'm currently trying to pursue engineering, and so some things that I do for that is I have recently started the Coders Hack thing for our hackathon, and I'm also part of my TSA club from my school. And yeah, that's just a little bit about me. In my free time, I like doing Bob Ross tutorial videos, and although I'm not that good, but yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. How did you, I'm going to completely steer a different direction. How did you decide that listening to Bob Ross and painting along with him is something that you want to do? I mean, I understand, but I want to hear your story.
So basically, it was just like some activity that I like to do with my friends. We just went to the park one day and wanted to do something fun, and so we just brought in like a canvas for each other, and we just painted following Bob Ross videos because I think that's like the only painting person that we kind of know that actually does tutorials. So we just wanted to try it out. So yeah.
I love that. Well, I will give a shameless plug to a friend of mine. Her birthday was yesterday, and her name is Annika Wooten. She's actually Miss Kansas within the Miss America organization. Oh. And at the beginning of quarantine, like when everything was everyone was stuck at home a year ago, she started doing painting videos too. And so she does live videos and stuff like that. So I'll text you that link if you're interested, because they're pretty fun to follow, and she's got some quirky little characters that she paints. So
yeah, definitely.
Well, cool. So you like painting, but you want to pursue engineering. So what kind of engineering, what got you interested in engineering, I guess is the first question.
So like I said, one of my friends, when I was joining high school for the first time, I was kind of conflicted on what type of club I wanted to join. And before, I didn't really know that I wanted to pursue engineering at all. I actually thought that STEM was kind of like not for me, and I just didn't think I would like go into this direction. But as soon as my friend Cherry, she told me that I should join TSA for our school. And TSA is basically like a series of events inside of one club where schools create teams for each other, and then we compete with other schools in Gwinnett County. and in their state as well. And for each event, it depends on like what type of subject that you're trying to do. But for me, I joined my animatronics team, and animatronics is basically creating like a robot that's kind of like if you go to Disney World and you see those robots that move and like talk, though, that's kind of like what an animatronic is. And so that's what we were trying to create. Although we weren't like really experienced, I think it was a really great time for me. And with my team, they were really supportive. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of what got me steering into engineering.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
do you want to go into animatronics and robotics like later, or what
Yeah,
do you want to
sure.
do when you get into college and everything?
At first, I wanted to do mechanical engineering, but I definitely think that there's a lot more engineering careers that I can try pursuing and looking into. So I'm not really sure yet, but definitely like I want to go into coding, maybe coding or like software engineering. Yeah, that's like the two I really wanted to like focus upon.
So do you do a lot of coding now? Do you have a lot of
Uh,
experience with coding?
So basically, because of my experience in TSA and animatronics, that's when I started joining coders because I wanted to learn how to code at first. Because my experience with the animatronic was that I didn't know how to code at all. So I actually asked my friend to code it for me, but it didn't really go out well. But so like at the day of the conference and at the day of like a competition, I literally needed to code the whole animatronic by myself in like a day. And yeah, but it didn't really go out well because the mechanics of the robot kind of broke down at that time. So the code didn't like the code worked, but it wasn't able to be processed into the robot. So because of that, I kind of wanted to learn how to code for myself a little bit more, which is why I joined a coder's pilot test lesson. And because of that, I was kind of able to get that position as an instructor lead for Coders Collective. And that from then, I started like teaching students how to code and like learning content myself. So yeah, that's just kind of like a backstory of like how I got into code. Um,
That's awesome.
recently, yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead. You're going to say
yeah.
recently.
So recently, Coders Collective, we have released many different workshops and classes that students can take like weekly. So we have an Introduce HTML CSS class, part 1 and part 2. We have Intro to Python classes, Intro to Unity classes, and like many others that you can look onto our website. So yeah, anyone can sign up for the classes, which is really exciting because we were able to meet students from like all over the world as well. And so that's really fun.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Coders Collective, for those of you who aren't aware, it is a student-led organization that really is intent on empowering students of all ages and of all backgrounds to get into computer science, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I did the mission statement right,
Yeah.
but that's basically what it is, which I
Yeah.
really admire. I think it's phenomenal. I always learn best by teaching. And
Mm-hmm.
so I love that a student-led group is helping teach other students how to do these really cool things that some people may think, oh, like you said earlier, STEM maybe isn't for me, or coding's super intimidating. I don't know how to do it. Or they may have all of these fears and
Yeah.
anxieties, but being led by a peer is it really helps break down some of those anxieties,
Mm-hmm.
at least in my perspective. You're an
Definitely.
instruction lead, so can you tell us a little bit about what you've seen in your experience?
Yeah, so like you said, I definitely think for myself as well. I learn better when I teach things. So when I first got in that instruction lead, I definitely did not think I had that ability to teach students how to code. But I guess like after doing it for a while and teaching with other instructors that actually know more about code than I do, I think I was able to pick up like what they were teaching as long as like I was like teaching with them. So it was just like the same thing along with like I'm teaching, but I'm also learning from other instructors. So I think that was also what got me like really excited to teach classes. And yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So anyone can sign up for these intro to coding classes, and they go on
Yeah.
like all year round, right?
So not everyone can sign up. We have an age restriction. So I think it's ages 13 and up that can only sign up for our classes because we tend to think we try to teach students younger than that, but because it's like all online, it was kind of difficult for us to do so. So we try to only steer towards ages 13 and up to teach. But yeah.
Okay. So anyone 13 and up can sign up for these
Yeah,
ongoing classes.
definitely. Mm-hmm.
And so you've got these ongoing classes through the website, Code Hers. What's the website? I'm going to pin it here in the
it's coders.co.
code. I spelled it wrong on my last live. I spelled the wrong thing and I felt so bad.
Yeah, so CODEHERS.co.
Information. Okay, so all of these things are available on the website all the time, but you have a very interesting event coming up this weekend that you are organizing. So can you tell us a little bit about what the event is, and then we'll dive into what you're learning and what people are going to be doing.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so Coders Hack is basically an online hackathon available for everyone, only girls ages 13 and up. And so Coders Hack, basically it's our first ever hackathon, and we provide many workshops. We have many speakers to talk to you guys, and we have many panelists that are coming in to talk about their experiences in engineering. So we have 3 different panels. We have our CS Opportunities panel, Women in Tech panel, and we have our Startup Engineer panel. And each of these panels are different, and so you guys can learn different things if you attend these panels. And we have, I think, around 4 different panelists for each panel who are all very what's the word? Skilled in the profession. And I think, Sierra, you're also a speaker for our panel, so that's really exciting.
I'm really excited I've been really excited ever since I got an email from someone on the Coders Collective team, from Katie. Shout out to her, she's in here. When I got the email, I hadn't learned about Coders Collective or what you all were doing, but now I am maybe not the biggest fan, but I am on the top list, I hope that. Because I think what you're doing is phenomenal, and I'm so excited. Like I mentioned before, hackathons and design challenges are my favorite activity. And so it's so exciting that you're making this available because it's virtual. It's really open to anyone to compete. And signups did close, unfortunately, right?
Yes, it closed on the 27th, unfortunately.
So if you were interested in this exciting event that we're talking about, stay tuned. There may be another one coming up. I don't want to speak for you because you're the organizer, but go follow codehers.co and Christie and stay up to tune with what they're doing, because you can get involved in another one. But there's also a way for people who maybe are interested, who do have skills, that can still volunteer at the event, right?
Yeah, definitely. So we are looking for mentors. So these mentors you can be a high school student or up. It doesn't really matter, as long as you have some sort of coding experience and you kind of know what you're talking about. So definitely, if you guys are interested in that, you guys can also sign up to be a mentor for our hackathon. And I'm not gonna expect you to do an all-nighter for 3 days. That's probably not good for your mental health. So you're going to be expected to sign up on the sign up genius that we'll send you, and you're going to sign up for time slots that you guys can sign up for. So you only need to be a mentor for that specific time, not the whole day. So definitely it's it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I've enjoyed being a mentor at other hackathons and things. And can you kind of explain, I don't know if you're doing specific challenges or if it's just kind of can you kind of give an overview of what they'll be hacking, basically?
Yeah, so we haven't released our theme yet, because we're going to release our theme on our opening ceremony.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but once we do release our theme, you guys will be expected to, the participants will be expected to create a project. And so this project can either be a website that they code, an app, or a game. So because we have these 3 different divisions, we actually our workshops are kind of directed around these divisions. So we have workshops for game development, web development, and app development, along with a sponsor workshops like Goom and Echo AR. So definitely our participants can attend these workshops if they are beginners, or if they need to learn a little bit more about how to develop these things. So our hackathon is beginner friendly, which is what I really love about this hackathon. And so
I really like how it's structured. So
Mhm.
behind the scenes, I've been in the Discord group chat for this as a speaker, but I've been able to see some of the different channels on
Yeah,
Discord where individuals are able to meet up with teams. And so I think that's a really
yeah.
interesting component. Can you talk a little bit about how teams are being
So
formulated and what that's like?
yeah, of course. So for our hackathon, we're gonna make it so that the teams are only a max of 3 people, but definitely you can go solo hacks or you can partner with someone to do like 2 people hacks, but the max is 3 people. And if you don't have a team, that's totally okay because we have a chat on our Discord and you can meet all the different people that have signed up for the hackathon and you just like interact with them and you can like find whoever you want based upon like whether they want to do a certain division or like based upon their needs of like what they are thinking of creating. And so it's basically surrounded upon that, but also this chat you guys can talk with one another, but you can also sign up for one of our Google Forms that we sent out. And so once you do sign up for these Google Forms, we can also pair you up with other people depending on your needs and depending on like what you want to create. So that's another thing that we give for team formation so that you don't need to worry about it. We also have for our schedule, we have on April 3rd, we have a team formation and icebreaker part of our events. So during that time, we will be putting people into breakout rooms on Zoom so that they can interact with each other and find like whoever they would like to be a team with. And so once they do, they can also send a Google form. And yeah, that's a little bit about how you can form teams.
I love that. I love how innovative you're being with this because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously everyone's had to figure out being virtual, but I love how intentional you're being, especially like something as sometimes stressful as
Yeah.
forming teams with a hackathon. You don't really know anyone and you don't really know what you need because you don't know the challenge. Like it just sometimes causes a lot of stress, and I love how intentional you're being with creating a get to know everyone icebreaker, creating
Yeah.
the Teams channel in Discord. I think that's phenomenal. It's been great to watch future participants already starting their teams and getting
Yeah.
to know each other in such a casual but intentional way. So I
Right.
love that. I love that feature. What kind of I'm gonna pivot a little to the how the history of this started. So this is the
Okay.
first CodeHers hack, right?
Yeah, so basically, I we have our admins for coders, and so they're Alice and Christine. They're amazing admins, by the way. Shout out to them. But one day, I actually was just like looking at like what I could do to expand my knowledge on engineering, what I can do to kind of like help my community along with like maybe other communities on like how they can pursue engineering for themselves. And so I did a lot of research, and I found out that people hold hackathons. And I didn't know what a hackathon was before I started one, like before I formed one. So I had to do a lot of research on like what exactly it was. I actually attended 3 different hackathons actually, and I actually found it really, really fun and like very organized. And so I tried doing it by myself, and that's kind of like when I asked Christine, our admin, if I can start one with for coders. So that's just like how I started the hackathon. But yeah.
That's so cool. I love that you just kind of jumped headfirst in and you were like, this seems to work really
Yeah.
well for getting people excited, so I want to do it. And so you did 3 of them, right? So
Yeah.
what kind of will you tell us a little bit about your experience, what the
Yeah.
challenges were, or maybe what something you learned doing those
Yeah,
was?
of course. So my first ever one was from Star Hacks, and I actually it was like amazing. I had so much fun with it. Although I did do it all nighter, but I had a lot of fun with it because I was able to meet some other like 2 other amazing engineers that I'm now really good friends with, and we actually like tell each other about like um no engineering events that we could probably join together. And so that was my first ever Star Hacks hackathon. It was really amazing. Although I did not win any prizes, I think the experience itself was amazing. But because of that, like first hackathon, and my second hackathon, I went into Blueprint, which is like an MIT hackathon. So there, I was able to create a team with 3 other new people, and it was amazing because we actually got 3rd place for the hackathon. And I definitely feel like because of that, it was like the first hackathon we did definitely helped me like gain more experience and like learn how to web develop more, which gave me that experience to go into the second hackathon. And yeah, definitely like you never know what's going to happen, so definitely just try to like jump into things if you want to, like if you just like want to do it. So Yeah.
I think that's some great advice. Just if you want to do it, just go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Just jump into it.
Just jump right in. That's great. So you're not releasing the theme yet, obviously, because that'll be a surprise. But could you talk a little bit about kind of the difference between maybe a web develop style project or a more coding based project? Just maybe if someone's never experienced a hackathon before, they need a little definition.
Yeah, okay. So for a hackathon, we're kind of flexible with like what you can create. But for our web developments, like there are a lot of platforms that let you like develop websites without the actual coding part of it. But we're not going to be accepting that because for this hackathon, we want everyone to experience what it's like to actually code your own websites. So usually people code websites with HTML and CSS. Sometimes they use JavaScript as well. So that's why we're actually providing workshops for the HTML and CSS, like how to develop it and how to like first start your website with it. And there are different platforms you can use to actually code. So for our workshops, we're using Glitch. We used to just use like regular platforms that you can get on like Windows or Mac, but we switched over to Glitch because I think it's like more accessible to all users of different types. So if you go to Glitch, you can learn how to use HTML and CSS. And we also have a Goom workshop. And Goom is also another platform that you guys can learn how to code on. But yeah.
That's awesome. So I love that you're being, again, intentional with we're trying to make it equitable to both PC and Mac users and whoever else wants to join if they've got like some Linux operating system. So that's really cool that you're also making it very beginner friendly. I think for my first hackathon, I genuinely did not know what I signed up for. It was an in-person one at my university.
Yeah.
And my friend really called me at 3:00 on a Friday and said, "Hey, we're doing a hackathon design challenge over the weekend. Do you want to be here? It starts at 4:00." And I was like, "Yeah, I got a free weekend. I'll do it." But the whole thing was fantastic. I didn't know what was happening most of the time, but it really these design challenges are great because they push you out of your comfort zone. You're meeting new people. You're learning new skills that you maybe never would have learned them, and you're learning them very quickly and implementing them, which I think is so important to student development and learning in general. Is, we can learn theory and we can learn this is how I might use it someday.
Right.
But the magic of hackathons is this is how I'm using it in 12 minutes because I've got a prototype I have to push out. So that's really cool that you literally jumped feet first and you're planning this thing. So what is the biggest thing you've learned so far from organizing a hackathon? Yeah, brand new into the scene.
Yeah, so I would say like before I had no idea on like how to get like financial sponsorships or anything like that. So I definitely think that was a big major play in this. For organizing I would say that the biggest thing was trying to get like the message out to like your team. So being able to like kind of catch up with what your team is doing, because for my hackathon, for this like Coders Hackathon, what we did was when I asked Christine that I wanted to hold a hackathon for our organization, she said, yes, of course. And so I kind of needed to formulate a team for myself because I myself can't do I myself can't organize a hackathon because it's a lot of work. And I feel like in order to have it by April, I definitely can't do everything by myself. So I actually asked some people from Coders Collective, and some of them are here right now. But yeah, I asked some of them if they could come help me with this team. And so we have at least like 13 volunteers for this Coders Hack. And we'd split up into different teams. So what I did was, because I didn't want to bombard everyone with like so much work, I kind of like split the work up into different teams. So we have our outreach team, we have advertising team, entertainment team, and then we have our finance team. With these teams, I asked them which teams that they wanted to go into, and so they chose 2 or 1 each, depending upon like their time, how much time they can put into the hackathon. So because of that, I think it was able to help me organize it a lot more, and they were all really, really amazing, and they're all really like organized. So I definitely think that helped a lot with like reaching out to people, and that's how Katie reached out to you. So
I love it.
Helped. Yeah.
Good organization is really the key to success. I mean,
right.
that is so awesome that you had so many volunteers who were skilled in so many different areas. I mean, that's an important
Yeah.
step for building a good hackathon team, but also a good step to life. Like,
Right.
there, like you said, you can't run it all as much as
Yeah,
you may want
no.
to, but it's not really possible. All of us have our own strengths, and so I'm
Right.
glad that you were able to build a team that had different strengths that complement yours. And I know it's going to be a fantastic event, so I'm just really excited to see it as we go along. So I did want to say, I completely forgot to say this at the beginning, but if anyone watching wants to leave a question or ask a question during this, please comment in the chat
Yeah,
box. I
definitely. I
completely
would love to answer.
forgot, I was a bad moderator here.
Yeah.
But feel free to drop some questions. They can be about anything, whether it's about Christy and what she wants to do when she goes to college and graduates and gets a big kid job, which all of us are looking for. No stress, don't worry, you have some time.
Yeah.
Or if it's about CodeHers Hack or CodeHers Collective, or if it's about the next topic, which I'm going to pivot to, which is gender equity in STEAM fields. And this is something that I really, really enjoy about CodeHers Hack, is that it's intentionally catering to young women, girls, young women, and non-binary individuals, because we have a huge gender disparity in STEAM fields. We don't have a lot of representation, and we have issues with recruitment and retention in these fields. So can you talk a little bit about maybe either your experience in STEM and what it's like to be in a STEM field and working in something like this?
So actually, when I first got into TSA, it was a lot. It was a very small group, but then my grade came in and it just became like from like 20 people to like 50 people. And so that was a large amount of people. And when I first joined animatronics, there were no males at all. Like we were all like a female oriented group. And so we all didn't have any like engineering experience. We all didn't have any like coding experience. So it was like really, really difficult for us. And in the team, we had to ask like who knew how to code, right? But everyone like that knew how to code was only like male, and there's like everyone that like we only asked our teacher, and then we asked this other dude, and he was the only one that knew how to code. And so like I kind of asked them to do like so many things for us, especially because like an animatronic is like a large like a large project. So I had to ask some other people to help us. So I actually put on my Instagram story, who knows how to code, like who can help us with this code. And literally every single person that responded was all like, they were all guys. And so I think that kind of like helped me like kind of steer myself towards like teaching more girls how to code, because definitely like it was kind of like unfair in a way. Like there's only a certain amount of guys that were able to code, but there were no girls at all that knew how to code. And so I kind of wanted to change that, especially in my community, because I feel like a lot more guys are into engineering than girls are. And when I first entered engineering, I didn't know, like I always thought that it was like, oh, the guys can do it. Like that's what my my thought was before I actually entered into it. And I was like, no, I'm not able to do this because it's not something for me. But personally, now that I'm like actually into engineering, I definitely think like women can definitely do it. Like that's why I'm an instruction lead for coders. I
love that so much. I love the idea of, we all have stereotypes, right, of what make a good engineer, or what make a good scientist, or a mathematician, or an artist. Like we all kind of have those, and a lot of it's media representation. What does an engineer look like when it's on TV? It usually looks like Bill Nye, and I don't look like Bill Nye. As cool as Bill Nye is, I just met him yesterday, which blew my mind.
I saw.
It was so cool. I had to turn off my camera because I was fangirling so hard. I was like, I have to be a professional here. But most of them look like Bill Nye.
Right.
White guys with bow ties, which is great. But for me, that wasn't something that resonated with me. It's not my sense of style. It's not my identification. And so for a long time, I was turned off from engineering because, just like you said, it's not for me. It wasn't until I started to see other people who looked like me, other redheads, or other women, or other, pageant girls, or, whoever it is that I identified with, I didn't know until I could have a role model to look to. So I absolutely adore that you recognized that there was an issue and you turned around and you're like, I'm going to be an
Right.
instruction lead and help other people get into these fields, which
Right.
blows my mind. I'm so proud of you. That's
Thank
phenomenal.
you. Yeah,
So,
so when I first joined Coders, like you said, like you need to have that role model to kind of like base upon yourself and like kind of like develop yourself and grow as a person. So when I first joined Coders, it wasn't like established at all. It wasn't a collective, like we established that collective name like after I joined, maybe like a month or two later. So when I first like did a pilot testing for Coders, they asked if we could be volunteers for it. And before, when I first joined, I didn't join as an instruction lead. I just joined as a volunteer. But after I taught like lessons and stuff with other people, I found myself learning a lot more about engineering and a lot more about like coding and such. And that kind of like made me want to teach more classes. And so during the summer, we actually held a summer camp, and it's called Geek Space Summer Camp. And we taught so many like young girls at one time for 3 days, and it was amazing. It was a great experience, and I was able to meet so many different people. And the people, like the instructors that I was teaching with, and like our admins as well, I feel like though they are like large role models for us. And one of them just joined. So but yeah, like people like them, they're the ones that kind of like got me to actually start this hackathon, because I saw them, they started this organization, and I was like, oh wow, that's really really cool. Like what can I do, and what can I like, how can I spend my skills into kind of creating this like thing about like what I'm passionate about and like what I want to do for others, other young girls. And so that's why I started this hackathon as well. And I definitely think like role models are really really important to kind of shape like what you do and like who you are. So yeah, shout out to our admins, shout out to all of our instructors and like all of our teams. But yeah.
you are getting so much love in the chat here
Yeah.
below. I don't know if you can see it. And I did get a question. We got one from our good friend Naomi. She says, "Love you both. What's the best thing that happened to you in the last days?"
Okay, so recently, actually, my friend Katie and I, we actually started doing science fair this year, because for our year in sophomore year for our school, we're actually kind of required to do science fair as like kind of content kind of thing. So Katie and I decided to enter this contest, the science fair, and before when I entered science fair, I actually like I could not do anything science related. So I always did like experiments that were like kind of borderline, like everyone did it, normal kind of like experiments. But then when I did this, when I started this science fair this year with Katie, we actually started this coding project. And so what we did was we created an app that was able to get carbon emissions from cars, so based upon a GPS system. And so we coded that, and definitely I think that was like one of the best things that happened to me last few days, because we were able to see that like we got into GSEF, which is like a state science fair. And so we passed our school science fair, and then we got into GSEF. And I think that's like one great thing that happened to me the past few days. And definitely it's because like the coding aspect about it, like I was able to take my my learning from coding and my experience in coding and actually like pursue a project that I wouldn't have otherwise done if I actually like jumped into it. So definitely like back to that like theme that I have for this conversation, just jump into things if you're like passionate about it, or if you're like even thinking about it, just do it. Like I think that like that really helped, that mindset helped me create all these different hackathons and create like yeah, so yeah.
I love that. I love that. And congratulations on making it up
Thank
to
you.
like the
Yeah.
next level with your project. It sounds super exciting. And I love that you picked something that had meaning. You know, I think it's important. Yes, we can all pick, you know, how to make an alarm clock with a potato or something, or the volcano lava experiment. And those are great for, you know, you can do those. But I love that you were like, how can I use this new skill I have to also address a big, hairy, scary world problem? And I think it's great. So can you like tell us a little bit about what you found in your science project, or is it like top secret still competition?
No, I think I can tell you. So Katie and I basically, Katie is like very, very, she's like a great coder. I literally learned so much about my own coding from her. And from this app development, I've actually never done app development before this. And so like the hackathons that I've attended to, I've always like stayed in the safe zone, and I've always only created like websites. But that itself, like I learned a lot about website development, but because of that, I never really learned how to like develop apps. So when I first jumped into it with Katie did not know what she was doing either. So we were like both coming into this like not knowing anything. But I think definitely like after doing some research and actually like pilot testing different things together, I think we were able to create like this app. So what we did was actually like coding isn't that like that aspect of it is not that hard. You can just find like code online, and like, there's a lot more support there as well, and you can like find different coding websites too, so you can just copy and paste it from there. So for what we did was we created a app, right? So our app, we wanted to solve like a world problem. So that world problem that we solved was global warming. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to create a way where people can find their carbon emissions from driving. And what better to do when with a GPS system. So we created the GPS system, put that in our app, and we also had to calculate how can we change the amount of miles one goes into to the amount of like carbon emissions they export or like they create. So we had to do all that calculation, and so we had to do a lot of research for that as well, and we kind of incorporated it all into like one app. And definitely that helped me like learn how to use JavaScript, also like learning how to use React Native, because that's like a platform that we also use. Katie taught me how to use GitHub recently, so that's really exciting. But yeah, I think definitely it's just like that support with one another. And yeah, it's like a lot of research goes into it as well. So yeah.
That's so incredible. Like I said, I love that you took on a big, hairy, scary world problem, right, which to me is always a win. So I'm sure you're going to do fantastic at your science competition. I also love that you're just now learning how to use GitHub, because I also am just now learning how to use it. I just started, well, not just, it's been like 50-ish days, but I started 100 Days of Code, which for those of you who are unaware, it's you try and do a little bit of coding for 100 days straight to build your skills, but also kind of build a consistency so that you can become a better coder, basically. And it's a process. 100 days is a lot of days, and I didn't realize how long this stretch is, like this 50 to 75 day mark. It feels like forever. But it's good because I'm seeing my own skills develop, and I'm learning how to use things like GitHub. So GitHub, again, for those of you who maybe don't know, it's kind of like, how do I describe GitHub? It's like a big kind of Dropbox almost, where it's like you can go in and like show off what you do and like write notes about what you did and why, and then other people can come and be like, oh, this is really cool, can I borrow it and change it? And that's kind of, it's just a big like wiki kind of sharing space. And so it's a really cool resource. A lot of companies recruit through GitHub because it's like an artist has a portfolio. It's like a coder's portfolio website.
It's kind of like a coding Google Drive. It's like, you can store all your projects in it. You can like code projects with other students, like other people, and it helps like a lot with coders, because especially like if you want to add something to your website but you don't know if it's gonna mess it up, you can definitely create like another branch in your GitHub and just like test out like your code there and see if it works, and if it does and if you like it, you can actually push that into your actual project, which is like it's kind of like a backup file, I guess. So that's really helpful for coders. Yeah.
For sure. Well, that's really cool. I love meeting other people who are like on similar coding journeys as me, because I feel like when I first started coding, everyone mentioned GitHub, and I was like, what is that? Like,
exactly.
What do you mean? So that's really cool that you're also able, again, to learn, like we talked about, from a peer, because I feel like we learn so much better from that. Go ahead.
We actually have a GitHub workshop for our hackathon. So if you guys if you guys are like wanting to learn like more about what GitHub is, like the vocabulary for it, like how to use it with other people, definitely like if you guys signed up for our hackathon, you guys can access that workshop too. And we have amazing content creators who created that for us. So and I actually was able to learn GitHub because of that workshop that I pilot tested. So definitely like making this hackathon, it helped me like learn a lot about different languages, different platforms that I could use, because I had to pilot test like all of these like content things that our content creators created. So yeah, definitely it's like a learning adventure for me.
That's true. And someone commented down below that others can comment on your code, which is
Yeah,
really helpful for collaboration. So like if
right,
Christy and I were working on a shared code, she can be like, hey, this doesn't look right. I'm going to change
right,
it. And then
right.
she could. And then I'd be like, thank you. Or, they can also comment saying, oh my gosh, I've never thought about writing the syntax or the way this code line is written in this
Right.
way before. That's genius. So I love that feature too.
Yeah.
Do you have I am going to kind of go into a speed round real quick,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't mind. This is all about coding and
Mhm.
kind of computer science things in general.
All right.
So what is your favorite language?
I would say my favorite language is Python. Cause
Okay.
yeah. I would say like before I would say like HTML, CSS because literally that's like the only thing I can like confidently code in. But when I first went into coding, I actually pilot tested our HTML, CSS classes, and I actually pilot tested our Python classes. And I definitely think our Python classes, for me at least, was more entertaining because we were actually able to create so many different games, and we were able to create different like so for our Python class, we teach you how to create like a personality quiz, or we teach you how to create like tic-tac-toe or like hangman. So doing that, especially like making games with Python, I think that was like more exciting for me than creating websites. Although website development is like amazing, and I like definitely support people who are like in that career or like people who love like website developing. I definitely think that Python is my favorite language as of right now, but it could change.
Okay. Yes, I
Yeah.
think changing languages is a common theme. A lot of people like to flip-flop and change
Yeah.
throughout their careers. That's one thing I love about tech so much is that when you learn one thing, it's like kind of Lego building blocks to where you have a good foundation, but you can pivot and build something new in a different area, but it's all
Yeah.
tech, so it's all exciting. um, so what if you were to compete in the Coders Hackathon this weekend? What would you make? An app, a website, or a game?
I would say an app this time because the past 3 hackathons that I was competing in, I actually just created websites, and I feel like that was just like me putting myself in the safe zone. So I definitely want to try at least developing an app if I were to compete in this hackathon, because it's just like another step forward like to my like learning process about like how to code and such like that. And because I was able to code like the with Katie, the science fair project that I made, I kind of have like more confidence, I guess, confidence in creating an app this time. So maybe that, yeah.
Okay, I really thought you were going to say a game after saying you love Python so much. I was kind of surprised, but no, that makes total sense. Okay, so if you, you're an instruction lead, so what's
Yeah.
your favorite class to teach or language to teach?
My favorite class to teach, I would say Unity. Yeah, I think Intro to Unity is kind of fun for me, but although it's like a lot of work, Sherry is actually one of our content leads, and she actually created that whole slideshow, like this whole lesson by herself, and it was like really amazing. And I was able to pilot test it for her, and the pilot testing literally did not need any edits because it was like great as it is. But definitely, I think Unity is more fun for me because Unity is actually like where most people code their games. So I think Minecraft created, was it Minecraft or like Pokemon Go? Pokemon Go created their game on Unity. So for our Unity class, basically it's like a 3-day class, and we usually only let ages 13 and up. We're really strict on that because we tried teaching with like younger kids. It didn't really work out because Unity is kind of like a harder lesson for our coders, but for our Unity workshop, we actually help people create their own games. So what Sherry did to help people learn like how to interact with Unity is she created like an Angry Birds kind of thing so that like our students can create like their own Angry Birds. And so it also teaches you how to code in C#, which is new to me, which is why I think like teaching Unity is really, really fun for me because when I first started coding my animatronic, I had to use C# for my code too. So learning how to code in Unity, like learning how to code Unity was like able to like help me go back to my roots of like why I was able to like, start this in the first place. And I was able to like learn more and like develop more about C#. So that can hopefully like help me create more animatronics in the future if I'm like choosing to code it in C# as well. So yeah, I think intro to Unity classes are very, very interactive with the students. And at the end, like when I'm able to like look at the Angry Birds game that they're able to create, like it's really, really exciting and fun to like just like see their faces when they actually like create it for the first time. Because usually sometimes these people are like beginners and they've never coded like projects like this at all before. So like just like looking at like their expressions and their faces after they get like that all that hard work done is like definitely like something that I love about like being an instruction lead. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I love that there's a kind of a light at the end of the tunnel of classes. Like you get, there's a project, and as soon as you complete it, it really does create like a whole like euphoric sense of joy, because you're like, I did this, that's my baby, you know. Like, you get really excited. So that's really cool. I like that you're teaching Unity. I think that's a really exciting thing for people to jump into. And so if someone was interested in taking a Unity class, how could they go about signing up?
So we actually have, if you go into our Instagram bio, we have a link tree there. So you can sign up for any classes that you want by signing up like we have a Google form in there, so you can just like sign up for that. And then once you do, we can send you guys a email. And once you get that email, we'll send you guys like what class you'll be taking, etc. If you're not able to access it through Instagram, we also have our website, which I know you pinned in the Google in the live. So if you go into our website, you can actually sign up for it there as well. We actually have our coders hack there too, so like feel free to check that out too.
Yeah. Go to their website, codehers.co, with an H in the middle. Okay, cool. Well, here's one more question in the speed round. We talked a lot about role models and how important it is to be able to like see your own potential within one of these fields. So who is your STEM or STEAM role model?
As of right now, I would say like it's he's not famous, but like I would say my role model as of right now is definitely like my teacher, Mr. Fuchsia, because this year I actually created a animatronic as well, and we were actually able to finish it, and it was like we got it to work, and we actually sent it in to compete as this year, and we're gonna get the results in April, I think, April or June. But definitely Mr. Fuchsia, like he's my teacher. He's like the person that's like leading the TSA. He definitely helped us a lot to get there. And before we had a engineering idea and we had like a plan all set out, but like after months and months of like trying to get it to be finished, we actually couldn't finish it because it was like such a floppy idea, and we were really, really like scared if it would work or not. But then Mr. Fuchsia literally just came in and he gave us like this whole new idea, whole new plan for us to create. And I think because of that, we were able to create a really, really nice animatronic that I potentially think could do like really, really well in the competition. And because of him, I was able to learn a lot about like code and like different mechanics of like physics, etc., of like what you can do to add into your animatronic. So definitely, I would say Mr. Fuchsia is definitely like my role model as of right now, because he's done so much for like, especially animatronics, especially like my engineering life. I definitely like owe it all to Mr. Fuchsia right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hopefully he's on the live listening to how awesome. If he isn't, it's okay. You can just tell him in person and be like, hey, I gave you a massive shout out. You're awesome. Well, cool. So we're coming up on our 1 hour because Instagram likes to kick us out after 1 hour on Instagram Live. So I wanted to know, is there anything that we didn't get to talk about, or anything that you really wanted to share that we didn't get to, and now's your chance?
Well, okay, so I think when I first went into hackathon, I literally thought hackathon meant like hacking things, like hacking into different software things. So I was just like, why would anyone want to like join a hackathon for doing that? And I definitely think a lot of other people may have that misconception. So I kind of just wanted to talk about like what exactly hackathon is and like what you can do there. So I definitely like encourage everyone to go into a hackathon if you're wanting to learn how to code for the first time. But hackathon is basically like it can be online or it could be like in person, but for personally we've made ours virtually because of all this like quarantine such. So for a hackathon is basically like an online competition. where you basically create a project, like a coding project for, it depends on like how long it goes. Usually it's like 2 to 3 days. Ours is 3 days, but you code for that long, and you can hold all-nighters depending on your choice. It's all like really opinionated, and you can go into workshops to like learn different things. You can go into panels to like listen to little like speakers talk about like their position in engineering, etc. It depends on like the different hackathons you go into, but the gist of it is that it's a competition. So you just like compete with other people and their projects, and the judges will give you feedback if the hackathons like allows for that. And so once you get that feedback, you can either develop your project even more, or you can start a different project after the hackathon ends. But that's just like what a hackathon is. I feel like not a lot of people know exactly what it is, because even for our posts sometimes, like coders posts, like when we advertise our hackathon, a lot of people commented like, oh, I know this really great hacker for you guys. I'm like, no, that's not what a hackathon is. Like, hackers just like, it's just like a base term for like being able to like code projects together. And yeah, that's just kind of what I wanted to share on this live, just to kind of help people a little bit more about like learning about what a hackathon is exactly. It's not like a person who hacks into like government softwares, or like,
Yeah, it's not illegal.
yeah,
It's not an
yeah,
illegal activity.
It's not illegal. Right.
Right. Okay, well, cool. Yes, thank you so much for clearing that up, because I sometimes it can be really hard when you're like, for example, GitHub, right? Like you and I were talking about that earlier, and people maybe have no idea what that vocabulary means, or sometimes when we're in engineering, we use terms that engineers understand or coders understand, but like the rest of the world as an audience, they're like, what what are you talking about? What does that mean?
They don't know. Yeah.
And so I think that's really great that you took the opportunity to define it and explain. So if someone were interested, maybe, again, like I said, I don't want to speak for you, but maybe there might be another one next year or something that you could be interested in. Be sure to follow coders.co. Coders.co is their website, and then just put an @ in front of it. That's their Instagram. And you can check them out, and stay tuned to different classes you can sign up for, or maybe another event sometime soon, and get involved and kind of start your coding journey, or enhance your coding journey if you're already kind of on that path. So
yeah,
thank you. Is there any other thoughts, final thoughts?
I just want to say, if you guys are interested in joining a hackathon, definitely go for it. I definitely think hackathons are really fun and interesting. They help you learn how to code. They help you like explore a little bit more. So just like go into it. Like, just if you want to go into a hackathon, if you want to start competing with one, definitely do it. It doesn't matter if you don't get a prize. It's just like the experience you get with it, the people you meet. So yeah, if you guys are interested, definitely, like, I encourage all of you guys to join hackathons. Do anything you can if you want to go into engineering, join our classes, etc. Just do like whatever you guys can around you.
I completely agree, and their hackathons are also sometimes called different things, like design challenges or design sprints, and they're really open to anyone. Like, you don't have to be an engineer to be interested. One of the teams that I was on for a competition that was held at my university, lots of colleges and universities have hackathons or design challenges throughout the year that most of the time are open to anyone in the community. So if you're a high schooler who's interested in that university, or it's near where you live and you just want to test something out sometime, or of course, like the internet, there's so many virtual competitions happening. Even like for my example, my team, we consisted of a handful of engineers and a music major and a education major, and we relied on those skills because we built something interdisciplinary. It was about education, it was about music, and it needed a website, and it needed things built. So if you maybe are just curious about what this is, and maybe you have that preconceived notion, like we talked about, that STEM and STEAM isn't for me, maybe try it out, maybe test it out. And you may not become an engineer, but you definitely have the skills to be one, and you can stretch your fine arts knowledge in the realm of coding. Because it's an exciting activity, I think, for anyone who participates.
Right. I love hackathons. I actually signed up to join another one in April. So that's a really
no rest for you, huh?
Yeah. But yeah,
I love
definitely.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much, Christy, for joining
Yeah,
me,
thank you
and
for having
thank
me.
you to all of you for asking questions and commenting and staying on for this live. I think it was really exciting. And
Yeah.
if people want to follow you and your journey and kind of what you're up to, how can they connect with you?
Well, you guys can definitely follow my Instagram at kiwon.com. Not kiwon.com. Kiwon.ck, sorry. And yeah, I think that's literally the only social media that I do so far. But definitely, like, I do have a LinkedIn, but I'm not very active on it. So it's literally the same username. You guys can like follow that if you guys want. But yeah, or you
Okay.
guys can sign up for our coders classes, and you may see me teach the classes. So
Exactly, exactly. Sign up for the coders.co, all the classes. I mean, I'm kind of
yeah,
interested in the Unity one now that you've mentioned
yeah,
it, that
definitely
you
sign
teach
up
it. I
for
kind of want to
yeah,
sign up.
yeah.
Okay,
It's really
well,
exciting.
yes, yes, it was, and thank you so much for joining. I
Yeah,
think it was a super great time, and I'm really excited to see how the event goes this weekend.
thank
I'm
you.
sure it will be flawless, and I'm excited to talk on the panel. So I
Yeah,
will.
I'm excited to see what you have in store for us.
Yes, I'm so excited. Okay, well, thank you,
Thank
Christy,
you.
and thank you to everyone who joined us.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.